So Inktober is just around the corner, and if you're anything like me, you've probably failed it a couple of times in previous years. Now, if you don't know what Inktober is, I'll have a little link in the description that takes you to Jake Parker's website, where he talks about the rules and how to participate in Inktober. But for now, I'm assuming you already know what Inktober is, and you're just looking for some tips to survive the challenge. So here we go. So you may feel a little bit intimidated by committing yourself to 31 drawings over a month. Now, the first and most important tip is all about scope and expectation. So decide on the scope of your commitment. Now, you can do this many ways, but what I'm talking about is deciding on a scope that you feel confident that you can do. Because there are days in Inktober where you'll feel great about doing it, and there are days that'll be the last thing you want to do. So do something you feel good and happy and confident about doing. Now, this can be anything from doing a drawing every 2 days, so maybe you stretch Inktober out for 2 months. Or maybe you just do 1 drawing a week and you try to develop a bit more time into that drawing. Maybe your drawings are really small, or you set yourself a time limit. All these things can help bring in the scope and expectations that you have for yourself. And trust me, it's not a restriction, it actually really helps you. It's really easy to get intimidated by the amazing work that you can see online. Some of them you can imagine must take hours and hours of work, and they just seem so skilled and good at what they do. It's important to know that Inktober is really about challenging yourself. Now, it's great to get inspiration from those artists, but you must remind yourself this challenge is for you, and you don't need to compare yourself to those people. Challenge yourself and create a scope that you know you can commit to. Number 2, stay consistent. Now, the challenge of Inktober is less about the intensity that you come at it with, and much more about the consistency of it. I like to refer to a video made by Matt Diavella, which is all about the 2-day rule. Now, the idea is, if you're trying to create or form a new habit, you really want to stick to that and not skip more than 2 days of that habit. So if you miss 1 day of Inktober, that's absolutely fine. Just get back onto it the very next day. But when you get in the habit of missing days, that's when it can be really hard to get back onto Inktober. So my third tip is creating a schedule. Now, I know some of us artists like to be free and do it whenever we like, but if you find yourself skipping days because you run out of time or you forget about it, then it might be a good idea to schedule a time where you do Inktober. Now, for example, you could do this in the mornings, where it's the first thing you do when you wake up. You set yourself 10 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever it is you want to set for yourself. Have that schedule there and commit to that every single day, and it will really help with consistency. Humans in general are creatures of routine and habit. Consistency really helps with developing our skills and getting towards our goals. Failure to plan is a plan to fail. Now, tip number 4. This one may seem a little bit obvious, but there are a couple of reasons you may not know why it's actually a good idea. And that is using the prompt words. Now, of course, you can draw whatever you would like. The prompt words are just there to help you. However, there are a couple of good reasons to use the prompts. So the prompts force you to think creatively. The prompts aren't really a restriction, but rather a lens that allows you to unleash creativity and problem solve ideas that you would not have usually done. Now, when using the prompts, I would really recommend to not look at what other people have drawn for that prompt until you finish your own drawing. The reason for that is sometimes you see someone else's art and you think that's a great idea, and then you can't get it out of your head. It's good to try to do it your own way, create your own interpretation before going to them. Now, of course, if you need inspiration and you're really stuck, then it's also another great reason that prompts are helpful, because you can see how other people have done it, and they can see how you've done it. And also, the prompts are just a great way to get involved in the community, because other people are drawing the same kind of things you are. Number 5 is one you've probably seen around before, but it is really important, and that is thumbnailing your ideas. It will save you so much time and frustration. A 2-minute little sketch will solve so many problems for you, rather than getting about an hour into the drawing and then finding out, it's not really working. So prompts get released a month in advance. So at the time of this video, the prompts will be up and you can start planning and thumbnailing what you want your Inktober to look like. And that's absolutely fine to do. And it really does help. So I highly recommend thumbnailing your ideas before deciding on what you're gonna draw. Tip number 6 is to create your own theme. Make it fun for yourself. Decide on something that really motivates you and excites you. Now, I saw one year someone used trees and I'm sure many people use trees, but the person I saw adapted the tree to fit to whatever prompt it was. And it was a really cool theme that tied in everything he did for Inktober. So do that for yourself, whether it's different characters, or it's like the trees, or dogs, or potatoes, or it can be any theme you want. Tip number 7 is to use reference. Now, I know Inktober is all about creativity, but part of creativity is actually adapting what is already in the real world. To create art that is engaging for people, people want to see a little bit of themselves in it. So use reference and you'll have much more believable and awesome pieces of art. Now here are my 2 slightly tips, but not fully tips, it's more a state of mind thing. Don't pay attention to the likes that you get or the engagement of your art. Of course, we all love affirmation, and sometimes it comes in the form of likes and comments. And I'm not gonna lie, it does feel great when things do well and people like what you're creating and engage with it. But it's important to realize that the success of Inktober for you is relative to your goal. If your goal is to get 1 million likes across all your drawings and you don't get it, then you will have failed your goal for Inktober. But if your goal for Inktober is to stick to creating a drawing every day and you manage to do that, then you've succeeded and it doesn't really matter what the likes or what the engagement is. So use Inktober to get out of your comfort zone and to really push your skills. But don't worry about how well your posts do or if people see your art. As you grow and as you develop your skills and as you're consistent, people will eventually engage with your art. Your work is worth putting out there. You've got your own style and your own take on creativity and drawing. So even if you don't feel super confident in your work, that's okay. You can still put it out there and it's worth putting out. And my last tip is to just really enjoy it. Inktober is an awesome time to grow a community of artists. You can meet a lot of other people, and don't forget to just engage with other people. You don't realize how much someone might appreciate encouragement. Now, if you've made it all the way to the end, I actually have a slight bonus tip for you. And that is, if you're drawing it on paper, invest some good time into getting good photos. Or you can use Photoshop to clean it up afterwards. But getting good lighting really helps with creating consistent feed and having all of your images look really good and work well together. The main thing is to try to keep it consistent between each drawing. So, thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope these tips help you get along with Inktober. If during the time of Inktober you guys are creating awesome art, you're welcome to tag me in it. I just love seeing new art, so feel free to do that. Also, if you're wanting more resources, I'll put a couple of links in the description below, which will, as I said before, one of them will be a link to Jake Parker's website, which explains the rules and how to participate in Inktober. So if you really like this video and would like to support me, then consider subscribing or commenting or liking. It really goes a long way, and I do appreciate all the support you guys have already given, and just being here is a massive thing for me, so thank you so much. So I'll be posting all of my Inktober drawings over on Instagram, so you're welcome to go to the link in the description below if you want to see those. Otherwise, I should be creating a bunch of speed art videos, which will be about 5 minutes or so, maybe even shorter, which I'll put up daily on YouTube during the whole Inktober experience. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.